BACAS is an acronym, Borghi, Antichi, Cultura, Arti, e Scienze. And it was born 16 years ago. I had just realized a work called Grace, which was a 9/11 memorial. Ended up going to Italy and was shown at the Certosa di San Lorenzo in Padula. That event actually triggered the idea that there was an opportunity then to actually do something bigger. And so then in 2006, I went back and I discovered that there was a number of, almost all the towns have used EU money to restore pieces of their town. But the money ran out, or there wasn't enough money or thought to put in for programming. So there's these beautiful places in these old parts of town, therefore Borghi, which is the first thing of BACAS, Antichi, which is the old part, that then opened up the possibility for providing programming. And every immigrant, the word immigrant in English is beautiful because you can't do it in any other language. It takes the self and the migrant, right? There's this whole discussion now about migrants, not immigrants anymore. And so I am, io sono. In English, you apostrophize, right? So I am, and then you attach the word migrant. And what you get from that is immigrant. So that actually tells you that we're all migrants. We are all nomadic. What unites us is the exchange of culture, the shared literary wealth that we've generated, all societies have generated, music, architecture, those are universal languages. BACA's mission is actually started off with a very standard art residency program, and there's many of these, right? But most of them are north of Naples, north of Rome. And now it has slowly developed because art and culture without a social conscience, without a social contribution, is not enough. It just isn't enough. The world has changed. When the ancestors of many of the Italian Americans who live in New York arrived, there was no Verrazzano, but the strait was there. And that strait, that constriction and expansion of coming from an open ocean to a short point, to an enlarged bay, that is a womb, right? You're being reborn into a different society. And so we have a responsibility now because the world is becoming migrant again. You're reborn into a different society and you create wealth, you do your career, and then if you don't listen to the world, if you don't see the changes, if you don't acknowledge the fact that your wealth, no matter how poor you are within this wealthy society, you are wealthier than 90% of the rest of the world. I mean, just think of those numbers. The numbers are extraordinary. And so if you don't decide to give something back, stop coming back to your hometown wearing gold chains and hanging out in piazzas, right? This is what triggered BACAS. I saw all my friends and friends of friends who would come back and talk about their successes abroad, which is beautiful. But then what? And so that's what took me to BACAS, to gather all these incredibly beautiful people with incredible cocktails and gathering, like Tiziana Rinaldi Castro, who's a dear friend and also from a town of Davallo, who's the director of literary programs, who's introduced me to an entire world of literature that I wasn't aware of before. She introduced me to the Casa Italiana. The Casa Italiana then hosted BACAS' event, which is bringing Mimo Lucano for the first time to the US. We brought Mimo on the 26th of November, 2 days before Thanksgiving. And that day of Thanksgiving, we celebrate, the last Thursday, we celebrate the thanking of the indigenous people for having received them, right? So receiving is accoglienza, which is what Riace and Mimo are all about. What we're trying to do with BACAS is, because we've gathered all the stuff as immigrants, and we want to remind everybody that we are ready to come back. We're ready to fill these empty places that lay empty without programming. Just like in Riace, the empty homes are now being reused. BACAS is saying, hey, look, we immigrants, with our own resources, we don't want any public money yet. We don't want anything. We don't want an economy. This is not about economy. It's not about profit. We are not for profit. We have lives. We live well, better than 99% of the rest of the world, as I said before. And so I think it's our duty as writers of books, as builders of buildings, to actually give something back. We invested our own money, our own time, our own personal currency, professional currency, to make that happen. Please visit the site. It's very easy. www.bacasitaly.org. Write us an email. Tell us you want to get involved. Tell us you want to be part of this.